today to listen and to share and to ask ourselves those vital questions. Whose theatre is it? How do we put young people at the heart of our organisations? It's interesting for me. You know, I set theatre up. Theatre is up about 3 years. It'll be 3 years this autumn. And if I'm honest, I wasn't really quite sure how we were going to make a difference. As time has gone on, I've recognised that we can only make a difference by embracing the culture of young people. We can only make a difference by hearing and saying what's important to them. We can only make a difference by developing their talent and empowering them to make their own work and to create their own organisations.
My name's Rob, I'm the Associate Director here at the New Wolsey and a board member at the Theatre Is. A very warm welcome. We're so glad this is here with us today. And just a few quick notes before I do describe the day to you. If we look a little bit sullen, a little bit knackered, it has nothing to do with today's event. It's because we're on the last Friday of our 2.5-week Fringe Festival, which has been a huge success, and we're very, very glad that tonight's Epiphany event is part of it. We are introducing the day to you. We will be having some breakout sessions. There'll be 3 sessions this morning. They'll be repeated this afternoon. The 3 sessions are, the first of which, placing the authentic voice of the young at the heart of organisations. And I'll be in some way leading that conversation with Jane Moss, the chair from Theatre Is. The second breakout is developing work for, by and with young people and children. That will be led by Anne Engel, Anne's over there, and that will be assisted by Michael Corley from Theatre Is. And finally, networking young people and children, which will be Harry Harold, I can spot him by the laptop, yep, there we go, and that will be assisted by, oh, the other I've done the wrong way around, that was Stuart. It was going too well not to make a mistake.
It's a good opportunity just to network with different people around the region from different sizes of organisations, and to understand the current attitudes about responding to young people, and also and how we integrate them into our organisations and the way we're going forward.
We all knew that we need to avoid cheap labour. We all need to treat young people as ever cheap labour. We all knew that we needed to recognise that if we misunderstand the role of young people in an organisation, then we only disempower them, and that there are inherent risks within that. And that fundamentally what we're trying to do is to not just offer a blank platform for young people to exploit our facilities, but the experience of being inspired to be the next generation of arts leaders, not to work after us, but to work with us straight away.
Well, when I was choosing the play for what we did last year, National Theatre New Connections, we had like everyone sitting around, and they said, how did you come to the decision for the play that you've done? And most people were like, well, we put it to the kids, and you know, we let them vote on it and everything. And they came around to me and said, I'll pick the play. It was like, that's crazy, that's preposterous, we're engaging. It's like, directors pick plays all the time, and then the actors do them. Or they don't. There's nothing wrong with that. So, so if you just go in and click, this is what we're doing in this room, and then a young person can actually engage with that.
I've come here today to catch up with various other people in the region, share ideas, get some inspiration.
How do we take young people from just from their first contact with your organisation, whether that be a hit on a website or a leaflet or whatever, through to being participants?
It comes from them directly. They're all on Facebook. Maybe we should be on Facebook too. MySpace, Bebo, whatever it was beforehand. The new one, Twitter. Yeah. It's a case of following in that respect, and it would be really nice if we weren't following, if we were already there and established, and then they find us in those areas and those domains.
And I think what the magnificent case study this morning told us was that 0 to participant in one step is quite a big leap, but taking people through being a visitor to being a fan to being a participant at the end of that process, and along the way seeing how we move, how we get their attention, how we keep their attention, and how we inspire them to some sort of action.
I forget what it was called, but they were trying to develop a young person's forum.
Yes.
And it wasn't called that initially, but they gave the young people choices of books they thought they'd like, you know, along the lines of, I don't know, Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time and things like that, similar versions. And the young people came back and said, no, actually we want to select these books, and they happen to be Gothic fantasy. And we want a website or a microsite linked to Penguin Books, but we don't want to call Penguin Books Square or Young Penguin. We want it called spinebreakers.com. And so that's the kind of radicalism.
To get the message out about how crucial young people should be in young people's companies or creative learning, but get it just out of education directors saying it, but actually have artistic directors saying it as well.
We're looking at developing our young persons programme, so today is providing a really good opportunity to discuss ideas of other organisations.
About sharing and disseminating successes, not in a kind of on-paper way, but in an active way, finding ways of not reinventing the wheel and using current experience as it develops. And this links back a lot to the kind of research area, that research and consultation needs to, for reasons of finance and soundness in a way, to come before a lot of these large-scale projects, and we need to share those periods of research and consultation to make sure that other people can build on them rather than go through the pain themselves.
See Britain's Got Talent, and from 1 minute a lady that sips cups of teas and is now a national icon, you know, and kind of that is what they're emulating to, rather than do this, do that, that leads onto that.
It's about learning a trade, learning a skill set. Okay, you might not go into it, but there's skills and it's a trade you can use that's transferable.
And let's carry on those conversations. I should emphasise that today is just the first part of an ongoing conversation. We've already scheduled in, for your diaries, November the 4th at the Junction to continue this conversation. That's what a symposium is about. And today, perhaps in many ways, is about setting the tone and the agenda for that conversation and the things that we want to discuss and take further from today indeed.
A lot of these kind of hip-hop theatre projects happen, where they do these workshops, they bring a load of rappers or break dancers, we spin on our heads, kids go wow, we have a fun couple of days, and then we go back to where we live. It's kind of like the circus rolling into town, and you go like, Mummy, I wouldn't be a tightrope walker, and then the tightrope walker's gone the next day. The aim of this project was that the circus rolls into town, sets up its big top, and stays there. And actually, to extend this rather clumsy metaphor, teaches you how to set up the big top and be circus performers yourself. But that was the main thing about this, that we wanted to inspire young people, but then not just go back to London and be like the cats from the big city, but stay up there with them for an extended period of time and keep on going back. In fact, I'm going back to Norfolk just next week. Keep going back, keep strengthening these relationships, and also set up the young people as young entrepreneurs themselves so they can put on their own events, so that you don't need the circus next time, you set up your own circus. And they started doing it. You know, they set up this company Encore that Tom's part of, and started doing their own events. And it's kind of disconcerting when you walk into a theatre and there's no adults running stuff. Like everyone's, well, under 17, kind of 15, 16, 17, who are running things. Like on, you know, on the little microphone things, hosting it, running it, booking the acts. You know, you get this kind of thing when a 16-year-old rings you and wants you to book you and asks you your rate. And you're like, have you got enough pocket money to pay for them? But you realise, no, they've sorted their own funding. How did they learn to do that? It's an amazing kind of transference of skills that we saw in Norfolk. And there was something about it being in Norfolk that was all the much better. Because it was kind of isolating. This wasn't Norwich we're talking about. These were little villages, North Walsham, Sheringham, Cromer, you know, small kind of seaside towns. And to see that kind of transfer of energy into the young people and them to keep the ball in the air has been amazing.